All right, welcome to my Lego Collectible Minifigures Series 21 review and ranking. The Series 21 set contains a grand total of only 12 minifigures, and if you happen to buy a box, which is actually what I did, you get 3 full sets in a box with no spares. So there's 36 packs in a box, 12 figures per set, and every figure comes 3 per box. So there are no chase figures or rare figures this time around, or maybe put differently, every figure is equally rare. Uh, but with that being said, I do appreciate that LEGO made it much easier to get a complete set out of a box, though fewer packs per box and fewer figures per um, actual set are some trade-offs that I think maybe warrant some further discussion. However, we're not here for that today. Instead, I want to rank and review each of the 12 minifigures from, again, Series 21. And so we will begin at the bottom of the list, and this is probably going to surprise some people right off the bat, but there is number 12 out of 12 for my ranking. This is the Pug Costume guy, and honestly, it's not a bad figure. I think Series 21 offers a bunch of neat things, but the Pug in particular gets a bad rating or ranking from me, mostly because of the accessory. All you do is you get a blue squeaky, what I assume is supposed to be a blue squeaky dog toy in the shape of a bone. It's not very special. It's not even overly useful. And so, yeah, there just isn't a lot to this figure. It does have some alternate face. It has a little bit of printing. There's what's supposed to be a tail right there. If I can get my camera to focus on that for you. But yeah, it's not bad. Like I said, it just isn't my favorite. The one thing that I should note about this one that I do like is that the dog slash person is wearing the bandana, so that's kind of cute. But otherwise, there's a lot going on here, and when you're paying, basically, I think retail now is $5 a pack, if I'm not mistaken. This doesn't feel like you're getting even close to $5 worth. So that is my number 12. Next up, number 11 is another figure that I can't say is bad, but this is the Airplane Girl. And basically, this one ranks pretty low for me because it just isn't a lot of use for me with this figure. It takes up quite a bit of space. I store my minifigures on shelves. It's wider than, it's quite a bit wider, you can see, than the black base plate. Again, it's a fine figure. Don't get me wrong. This set, this series as a whole is quite nice. She does have an alternate face. Nothing, a little bit of like a scratch there. So maybe it's supposed to indicate that she was flying her plane a little bit too recklessly. I don't know. But, otherwise the propeller doesn't actually spin very well. There's just a lot of things about this one that it just could have been a bit better, I guess. Does come with the helmet and the hairpiece. I do appreciate that. I like when LEGO gives us both pieces. The only downside for that on this one is there's really no place to put the helmet. If you're someone that likes to display your figs, like she can't really hold it in any easy way, so it kind of just sits there and probably will end up getting misplaced. All right, moving on. Number 10, the Cabaret Singer. Now, I applaud LEGO for doing things a little bit different, and I think that's what the minifigure line is for, and so for that reason alone, I actually do like this figure. I think that the main criticism I have of the figure is the sort of, I guess, flowy dress robe thing that's going on here. I'm not a big fan of the sparkle claws in general, and it just looks a little bit, I don't know, it looks a little bit sloppy. You can see a little bit on the front here, and I'm just not a huge fan of that design idea. The Cabaret Singer does come with 2 faces, and so there's what the other face looks like, which is, pretty good, I guess. Try to get the camera to focus on that again for you. But otherwise, yeah, it's okay. I think it's worthy of the number 10 spot on my ranking. Number 9, the Ancient Warrior. Now, a lot has already been said about this figure that I'm not going to rehash. There's a lot of people taking issue with some of the cultural aspects of it. Some people taking issue that they didn't call this, a particular type of warrior. They just said it was an ancient warrior. That type of thing doesn't bother me as much, mostly because I'm just not well versed enough to, I guess, to be offended. Which take that for what it's worth. But that being said, the figure shows some nice tattoo work. It does have two faces, though. They're just one is angry and one is happy. Not a whole lot to see there. I do like the shield. The shield's pretty sweet. I will say that. And yeah, this is definitely one of those that would be a nice figure to get 2 or 3 copies of. I can see people maybe wanting to make an army of these figures, although I'm not sure every single. I don't know how many of those headdresses you need. You might want some variety there, but I mean, otherwise it's really nice. So that's your number 9 in the set. Number 8 in the set was the hardest one for me to place. This is the Ladybug Girl. I like the costume figures in general. I like the fact that you get a little printed ladybug that comes with the Ladybug Girl. I like the fact that the Ladybug Girl has a multi-sided head, and her sort of cap or headpiece, if you will, is made out of the soft rubber, so it just kind of gives it a different feel. I like the ladybird wings. Yeah, it's a good looking figure. I don't know what I'm ever gonna, I don't know that I ever have a quote unquote use for this figure, as is probably true with many of the costume figures. So it's hard to get super excited. You could make an argument that this costume figure is one of the better ones and maybe it should be moved up my list. You could make the argument that, a ladybird is kind of a boring costume and so it should be moved, in the opposite direction on the list. I would buy all that. I kind of stuck her more or less in the middle of the list, coming at number 8. Mostly as I found it easiest to kind of work from the best figures and the worst figures and then kind of just meet in the middle, and that's basically where she ended up. So that's your number 8 figure, the Ladybird Girl. Next, now this is the Paddle Surfer, and the Paddle Surfer comes with a rather huge accessory, this beautiful dolphin, which I was actually very happy to get. And you may notice, if you're well versed in this series, that my paddleboard surfer does not contain her oar or her paddle, and that's because my pack for her was actually missing that piece. I triple checked, actually more than triple checked. It was not there. It was not stuck in the directions. It was not anywhere to be found. I just was shorted it. I did write to Lego, and the website says that they don't provide replacement parts for collectible minifigs. So I don't know whether I'm going to be able to get that or not. It's a white ore, so it's slightly, well, actually quite a bit more rare than the more typical brown ores. Not a special piece per se, and I don't think it makes or breaks this figure, but that was a little bit annoying. But looking at the figure itself, I do like that, again, you get a multi-sided head, and this one is completely different with the sunglasses, which I definitely like, and I really like the hat with the blonde hair coming out the back there. So all around, this is a solid figure. Of course, the life vest comes off as well. I don't really need any more surfboards, if I'm being honest. I feel like surfers have been done to death, but this one is way, way more value than the average surfer that Lego's done in previous collectible minifigure series, mostly thanks to both the paddle, which I didn't actually get, but you probably will, and the dolphin. So that is my number 7. That moves us into the top half of the countdown, and we begin with, as you'll see in a second, a sort of pair that goes together, and this is first the Alien. Now, this is a rather simple named figure. It is just simply called Alien, nothing more. Little unclear whether the alien is meant to be a quote-unquote good alien or a bad alien. You've got the orange suit, which often people think of as an orange jumpsuit, so maybe it's a prisoner. It's got a crowbar, which kind of continues with the prisoner vibe, but it's unclear to me whether this is actually supposed to be a good or bad guy. It also does not appear, as far as I can tell at least, to necessarily fit in with any existing LEGO Space faction. Certainly not the older ones that I am much more well versed in. But it's a nice figure. I like the little crystal piece that it comes with. And yeah, that's the alien. And right on the heels of the alien, also from space, is the Space Police guy. Now, this came out in a sort of inopportune time for LEGO with the whole police, let's say, drama, if you will. Rather than going down that road, I'm just going to sort of try to evaluate the figure as it is on its own. The riot shield is nice. The accessories, the handcuffs, I don't really need any more handcuffs, but at least they're in black, so that's a less usual color. You got the gun and a baton or whatever on the back clips there for the Space Police officer, and this is actually a slightly different helmet than I'm used to, at least. You can see it's got that raised edge there. It actually has some black printing on the edge there, and he does have a much more angry or stern alternate expression. And yeah, he just looks like a beefed up police officer. I think the choice to just say police rather than Space Police on his riot shield does provide a lot more uses for people that like to make, certain types of mocks and things. By and large, I mean, it's just a solid figure, and I always liked the Space Police line when I was a kid, so you've got some nostalgia working. Speaking of nostalgia, number 4 is the Violin Kid, and right off the bat, let me say, I don't play the violin. I never have and probably never will, but I really like his shirt, and his shirt, if I can get the camera to try to focus there, his shirt is going to maybe remind you of the old Blacktron logo. And so, yeah, that's what he's wearing. And he does have an alternate expression, which is fine. There's nothing particularly exciting about it. But yeah, I do like getting extra instruments or new instruments. And the collectible minifigure line has been pretty good for that. The Harry Potter wand piece for the bow was a good choice, I think. I think it works, and it's just it's a solid all-around figure. And there you can see the shirt a little bit better. So that's my number 4. Number 3. Now we're getting to the really good ones in my mind, the ones that I had difficulty ordering. But for me, my number 3 is the Shipwreck Survivor. I love the letter in a bottle that is printed, by the way. And like many people, I love the little hermit crab. I mean, who knew we needed a Lego hermit crab? But now that I have one, I want many more. The Shipwreck Survivor's got his anchor tattoo. He does not have an alternate face, but he does have this big bushy beard, and then he's got a smaller beard if you don't want him to have the crazy haircut. So what the back looks like. Nice printing all the way around. Necklace with a shell on it's nice. I mean, he just looks the part. So, also, I think there's a lot of uses for this figure, both humorous uses and serious uses. So I can see myself using him in all sorts of situations. So that's my number 3. Number 2, if you thought that I can take the stand off. If you thought that the inclusion of the dolphin was generous, well, this one is just as generous because you get the inclusion of half of a horse body. This is, of course, the Centaur Warrior. Now, the Centaur Warrior comes with a bow, along with a quiver for the arrows, and an apple as an accessory. And then the Centaur Warrior is also double-sided. You can switch the facial expression around if you wish. And if you want to sort of set it up the quote-unquote correct way, it's got she has long brown hair. I really like this. I like the printing on the front. This reminds me of, like, I don't know, the upper half at least looks like it would fit in with the Forest Men from Lego's old Castle line, which was one of my favorite particular lines back when I was a kid. So I think there's definitely nostalgia working in this figure's favor. But yeah, that's my number 2, which means my number 1 figure is none other than, that's right, the Beekeeper. Now, that's a surprise. I was surprised even myself when I went to do this ranking and start ordering these. But I just kept moving him up closer and closer to the top of the list, and eventually he just stayed there. He's adorable. He's got a little bit of honey on his shirt. He has a lovely beekeeper's helmet. He's got a double-sided face, or the other side he's like licking his lips because he's so hungry for all that honey he's getting. He's got a printed honeycomb tile with a couple bees on it. There are just so many uses for the figure and for the tile that I can think of that I think will be a lot of fun, and I can't wait to see what other people do. But really, to me, this is the figure that's the epitome of what the collectible minifigure series is about. You're not going to make a set, most likely, based around beekeepers. I don't think that'd be a particularly hot seller. But it's really nice to get a beekeeper just for those of us that want to kind of sort of, flesh out our city and have more things happening. And Lego did release the beehive or wasp piece, wasp nest, I think they wanted it to be a bee's nest a few years ago. So you could probably use that piece and make some interesting things there. And I just think there's a lot of cool options here. And like I said, this is the type of figure that I think fits perfectly into the collectible minifigure line. So for me, Series 21 winner, the Beekeeper. And that will pretty much do it for the quick ranking of this particular series of minifigs. I definitely appreciate all of you that are checking out my videos, trying to get more and more uploaded. And if you wish to not miss any more of mine, feel free to subscribe and give the video a like, because that helps me get new traffic and new eyes on my videos. So thanks for watching, and I'll be talking to you soon. Bye.